Hi, Arcfieldweather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday morning, December the 4th. We have plenty of very cold air around, not only this morning, but it looks like for the next couple of weeks we'll have multiple cold air outbreaks. This is a forecast map from last night's ensemble run of the European model, and it shows the 2 meter temperature anomaly in that period, December 12th to December 19th. And you can see kind of a continuation of that pattern that we've been experiencing with very cold air moving in from western Canada across the northern plains, the Great Lakes, and into the mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S. It looks like that kind of a pattern will continue at least for the next couple of weeks. Now, this is the average over this 7-day period. Certainly, there can be some individual days or two with above normal temperatures, but for the most part, we're continuing a colder than normal weather pattern across much of the northern U.S. and certainly across the northern plains, the upper part of the Midwest, where there's plenty of snow cover, and that is leading to some record or near record lows right in this area right here, and I'll show that in a moment here. But again, continuation of the colder than normal weather pattern here across much of the northern U.S. over the next couple of weeks. Now, speaking of the upper Midwest, this comes from coolweather.com, and it shows plenty of areas this morning. This will grow over the next hour or two. This is from the 12Z or 7 a.m. Eastern time, so this is liable to grow in terms of the number of stations out across the upper part of the Midwest with record or near record lows. Keep in mind, plenty of snow cover that's helping in this situation. It caused some really low temperatures. In some cases, it is breaking quite long-standing low temperature records. Now, this is all representative of an Arctic air mass that is moving south and east today. The Arctic front passes through the mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S. later today, and tomorrow morning I expect to see plenty of record or near record lows right in this part of the nation as that Arctic air becomes fully entrenched over the northeastern states. Well, let's just kind of focus on the eastern part of the nation here at first in this video discussion. Then we'll kind of look at a broader look. This is using last night's run of the NAM model. And again, we have this Arctic frontal system right in this area right here as we begin the day. And it is quite an active Arctic front. There are snow showers associated with that frontal system. And indeed, those snow showers can make their way all the way into central and northeastern PA later today. Maybe even some snow squall activity. Maybe a snow shower or two makes its way all the way into the I-95 corridor region with the arrival of that Arctic front later in the day. And the winds will increase noticeably over the next several hours here in D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City. Again, all as a result of this Arctic frontal system. Now, let's move through on an hourly basis here over the next several hours. And again, you'll have some snow shower activity associated with that frontal system. But later in the afternoon, it is right around this region right here and moving to the south and east. Now, notice at the same time, some moisture is gathering across the northern Gulf region here, and this ultimately heads up in a northeastern direction right into this very, very cold and dry air mass. And we'll take a look at that in a moment here as far as the possibility of some snow in the southern mid-Atlantic region on Friday. And here we go over later this evening into the overnight hours here, and this Arctic high pressure system parks itself over the northeastern states by about midnight or so. So winds will start off the evening quite brisk in the I-95 corridor region, but they'll tend to lighten up in the overnight hours and temperatures will plunge. And we could see low temperatures by tomorrow morning all the way down into the middle and upper teens across many of the suburban locations in the I-95 corridor region from, let's say, north and west of Baltimore, north and west of Philadelphia, New York City. Again, look for many areas that drop into the teens, the lowest temperatures so far this season. Now, that moisture that was gathering earlier across the northern Gulf is starting to move to the north and east by early Friday morning, and it is going to run into this very, very cold and dry air mass across the mid-Atlantic, across the northeast U.S. High pressure still sitting over New York State by early tomorrow morning. This system looks like it'll have a bigger impact on the southern mid-Atlantic region as compared with the northern mid-Atlantic. Now, what by that I mean the D.C. area across to the Delmarva Peninsula, certainly southern and central Virginia as well, where they could get quite a few inches of snow down across southern Virginia, maybe all the way down into the very northern part of North Carolina as well. Looks like southern New Jersey may get in on some of the snow as well during the day on Friday. Now, it'll get into the D.C. metro region maybe a little bit earlier than we thought. Perhaps during the latter part of the morning, certainly by midday, it could be snowing in the D.C. area. And again, those areas on the southern side of the immediate metro region likely to get the highest snow amounts here. And we're talking maybe 2 or 3 inches in some spots just to the south of D.C. Certainly, even in D.C. itself, there can be some accumulating snow here. Now, Philly, New York City on the very northern edge, certainly cannot rule out a coating to maybe an inch or so across southeastern PA, central New Jersey, into New York City. But again, this looks like mainly a southern mid-Atlantic type of snow event here from, again, D.C. across the Delmarva to southern part of New Jersey. Of course, that also includes snow for the rest of Virginia all the way down to the North Carolina border. Now, late in the system, there may be a little bit of warming in the upper part of the atmosphere that could allow the snow to perhaps wind down as a touch of freezing drizzle in the D.C. metro area tomorrow evening. This is the midday forecast. Again, Philly still on the northern edge. Can it snow? Certainly. There's still a chance that it could make it all the way up into southeastern PA and to New York City. But again, for the most part, this is a southern mid-Atlantic snow event on Friday. Again, it could get underway fairly early in the day in the D.C. metro region. Now let's take a broader look here. We're looking now at the U.S. total snowfall forecast for about the next 11 or 12 days or so. I just wanted to show kind of a broad look here at the snowfall over the next 10, 11, 12 days or so. And in some areas, it's quite impressive indeed. First of all, Sierra Nevada, they're about to get pounded here, maybe not over the next few days, but certainly by 10, 11, 12 days out, it looks like there'll be significant snowfall over those higher elevations of eastern California. And also, a lot of the Rocky Mountain states, those highest elevation areas, will get pounded here as well over the next 1 to 2 weeks. Again, from the Colorado Rockies all the way across Wyoming into western Montana, Glacier National Park. It looks like the snow will pile up here, southwestern Canada, the British Columbia area. Plenty of snow here over the next couple of weeks. Now, you can also notice here, this is always of interest to me, up to our north, in the north and mid-Atlantic region, laying down quite a good snow cover here across the eastern part of Canada. I like to monitor the freezing of the Hudson Bay and even the freezing of the Great Lakes for the middle and latter parts of the winter season. That can be kind of an important factor. This is kind of a cold air source for the mid-Atlantic region. So certainly when you get build up a deep snow cover in this part of Canada, that could be important down the road in terms of cold air outbreaks for the mid-Atlantic and northeast U.S. Now let's walk through last night's run of the GFS. This is the 0Z run of the GFS starting off here on Thursday morning. Again, we have this strong Arctic cold front right in this area right here. Some of the coldest air so far this season about to move into the mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S. Again, look for the teens for overnight lows north and west of Philly, north and west of New York City, maybe even down across northern Maryland. Look for the upper teens by tomorrow morning. And the winds will increase over the next few hours ahead of this front, and there can be some snow showers making their way into the mountains of central PA, northeastern PA, maybe even a couple of snow squalls or two. And again, you can get a snow shower all the way into southeastern PA. We have this system now gathering some moisture down across the northern Gulf this morning, and we'll move through the day today, and that again heads to the north Andes. It encounters that very cold and very dry air mass, and because it's so dry, normally we look at rain to snow ratios of about 10 to 1. In other words, if you get an inch of rain, that would translate to maybe a 10-inch snowstorm, or a half an inch of rain to 5 inches of snow. Well, in this case, those ratios will be even higher because the air mass will be so dry. You can kind of squeeze out a fluffier, more snow than that 10 to 1 ratio. So in other words, a quarter of an inch of total liquid equivalent precip tomorrow, let's say just to the south of DC, normally would translate to 2.5 inches of snow. In this case, it may be 3 or 4 inches of snow because the air mass is so dry. So that's just something to be on the lookout for tomorrow, especially in this portion of the southern mid-Atlantic. That's central Virginia, southern Virginia. You may get more than that 10 to 1 ratio in terms of snow amounts on Friday. Now, we'll push forward through tomorrow, and that moves off the coast. Basically, cold and dry weekend in the Mid-Atlantic region, and then we get into the latter part of the upcoming weekend, the early part of next week. Now, by later Sunday going into Monday, there will be one system we can look at as a clipper type of system crossing the Great Lakes. At the same time, low pressure down across the southeastern states. Looks like these will not combine, these will not merge, but it's something we'll monitor over the next few days. Kind of at this point, it looks like it kind of moves off harmlessly, at least if you're in the Mid-Atlantic region. It moves off to the south and east of there by the time we get to Monday morning. But certainly something to monitor over the next few days. There will be plenty of cold air around in this part of the nation. Now, later than next week, it looks like a couple other clipper-type systems will be dropping south and east across central Canada, over the Great Lakes, and then ultimately into the Mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S. Where exactly they end up, just too early to say. Here, for example, by the middle part of next week, there'll be a pretty impressive clipper system across the eastern Great Lakes, headed towards the northeastern states, and then right on its heels, another kind of a clipper system. Again, these clipper systems pull out of western or central Canada, drop to the south and east, usually with relatively limited moisture because they're far from any ocean, the Pacific or the Atlantic, but they can have enough moisture to produce some accumulating snow. Again, this is by the middle of next week, and we'll go out a little bit farther in time, and it heads to the east and has an impact in the northeast U.S. later next week, either in the form of rain or snow. So, excuse me, quite a cold weather pattern going forward here, at least for the next couple of weeks on average. Look for below normal temperatures across the same kind of area that's been colder than normal in recent days. Again, the northern plains, the Great Lakes, the Mid-Atlantic and northeast U.S. Coldest air of the season so far moves into the Mid-Atlantic region later tonight into the day on Friday, with, again, look for the teens for overnight lows in many suburban locations, even along the I-95 corridor region. And then on Friday, good chance for accumulating snow. Let's say D.C., certainly central and southern Virginia, Delmarva Peninsula, and southern New Jersey, Philly, New York City, right on that northern edge. It could get a touch of snow later tomorrow afternoon into the early evening hours up there. It starts in D.C. probably during the morning hours, and certainly, if not then, by midday. Basically a cold and dry weekend to follow. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.